Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to
Om
Srila
Namo
Prabhupada.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This morning we will be reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam from Canto 2, second Canto, chapter 4, the process of creation, text 2. Atma Jaya Satugara Vasudravino Bandhusu Rajyesa Vikale Nityam Virudam Mamatam Chaho. Now we have the word-for-word translation. Atma, body. Jaya, wife. Sutta, son. Agara, palace. Vasu, horses and elephants. Dravina, treasury house. Bandhusu, unto friends and relatives. Rajye, in the kingdom. Shah, also. Avikale, without being disturbed. Nityam, constant. Virudam, deep-rooted. Mamatam, affinity. Jaho, gave up. Translation. Maharaj Pariksit, as a result of his wholehearted attraction for Lord Krishna, was able to give up all deep-rooted affection for his personal body, his wife, his children, his palace, his animals like horses and elephants, his treasury house, his friends and relatives, and his undisputed kingdom. Translation, 3 paragraphs. Translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. To become liberated means to become free from Dehatma Buddhi, the illusory attachment for personal bodily coverings and everything connected with the body, namely wife, children, and all other entanglements. One selects a wife for bodily comforts, and the result is children. For wife and children, one requires a dwelling place, and as such, a residential house is also necessary. Animals like horses, elephants, cows, and dogs are all household animals, and a householder has to keep them as household paraphernalia. In the modern civilization, the horses and elephants have been replaced by cars and conveyances with considerable horsepower. To maintain all the household affairs, one has to increase the bank balance and be careful about the treasury house, and in order to display the opulence of material assets, one has to keep good relations with friends and relatives, as well as become very careful about maintaining the status quo. This is called the material civilization of material attachment. Devotion for Lord Krishna means negation of all material attachment, as detailed above. By the grace of Lord Krishna, Maharaj Pariksit was awarded all material amenities and an undisputed kingdom in which to enjoy the undisturbed position of a king, but by the grace of the Lord, he was able to give up all connections with material attachment. That is the position of a pure devotee. Maharaj Pariksit, due to his natural affection for Lord Krishna as a devotee of the Lord, was always executing his royal duties on behalf of the Lord. And as a responsible king of the world, he always careful he was always careful to see that the influence of Kali would not enter his kingdom. The devotee of the Lord never thinks of his household paraphernalia as his own, but surrenders everything for the service of the Lord. Thereby, living entities under a devotee's care get the opportunity for God realization by the management of a devotee master. Attachment for household paraphernalia and for Lord Krishna go poorly together. One attachment is the path of darkness, and the other attachment is the path of light. Where there is light, there is no darkness, and where there is darkness, there is no light. But an expert devotee can turn everything to the path of light by an attitude of service to the Lord. And the best example here is the Pandavas. Maharaj Yudhishthira and householders like him can turn everything to light by dovetailing so many material assets in the service of the Lord. But one who is not trained or is unable to turn everything to the service of the Lord, Nirmanda Krishna Sambandhi must give up all material connections before he can be fit to hear and chant the glories of the Lord. In other words, one who, like Maharaj Pariksit, has seriously heard Srimad Bhagavatam for even one day from a fit personality like Sukadev Goswami may be able to lose all affinity for material things. There is no utility simply in imitating Maharaj Pariksit and hearing Bhagavatam from professional men, even for 700 years. To take Srimad Bhagavatam as a means of maintaining family expenditure is the greatest type of namaparat, offense at the feet of the Lord. Sarva Subha Kriya Samyam Api Pramadaha. Read the verse once again. Atma Chaya Sutakara Panchuravina Bandhusu. Vachye Safikale Nityam Virodam Mamatam Chahal. Maharaj Pariksit, as a result of his wholehearted attraction for Krishna, was able to give up his deep-rooted attraction for his personal body, his wife, his children, his palace, his animals like horses, elephants, his treasury house, his friends and relatives, and his undisputed kingdom. Om Jnana Timandasya Jnanjana Shlaka Shakshormritam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Chaitanyamanapistam Stapitam Yena Bhutalishvam Rupkadamyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeyam Shiyo Shiyuda Padakamanam Shiram Vaishnavam Shah Shiyopam Jagajatam Saganaragnatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parjana Saitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Saganalita Shivashakam Vitam Shah He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Banu Jatpate Gopesha Gopka Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kansana Galangi Radhe Vrindavanasri Vishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamama Haripriye Pankha Kalptabhasha Kripas Navivasha Patnam Pavanabhyo Vaishnabhyo Namo Namah Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Nama Om Vishnuptaya Krishna Vastaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskachai Satarani Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So this is one of these verses. Many Shastas or householders say that, and they feel bad what to do. I'm still attached to wife, children, and so on. And but we can learn many things from this purport. But it is also mentioned in Bhagavad Gita that in the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna mentions 21 items of knowledge. And one of them is detachment, freedom from the entanglement with children, wife, home, and the rest. So that's what this verse is about. In the Prabhupada, there's a long purport about that. But when he speaks about this particular point about attachment from children, wife, and home, Prabhupada said it is not meant that one should have no feeling for these. So that's something else that we see. A Krishna conscious person sees Krishna in the heart of everyone, and he knows these are Krishna's part and parcels. So they are part of Krishna. Therefore, we must love his part and parcels. But so Prabhupada said they are natural objects of affection. It's natural that, but when they are not favorable to spiritual progress, then one should not be attached to them, because then the relationship loses its deeper meaning. That we have had so many relationships in past lives, in this life, which are gone. And that are we still attached to them? No, we have to leave it behind. So what's the value of these relationships? These relationships are valuable when they help us to become Krishna conscious. Very valuable. But otherwise, we should not be attached to them. Prabhupada says that. But of course, if it's not favorable, if our situation in the family is not favorable for Krishna consciousness, we should try to make it favorable for Krishna consciousness. At least make an attempt. So the best process for making the home pleasant is Krishna consciousness, Srila Prabhupada says. If one is in full Krishna consciousness, he can make his home very happy, because this process of Krishna consciousness is very easy. One need only to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and accept the remnants of footsteps offered to Krishna. Have some discussions on books like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, and engage oneself in deity worship. So that is what one should do in the morning and the evening. That hearing Bhagavatam, discussing Bhagavad Gita, engaging in deity worship, that teaching all the aspects of devotional service to the children. So Prabhupada said these things will make one happy. One should train the members of his family in that way. The family members can sit down morning and evening and chant together Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. If one can mold his family in this way to develop Krishna consciousness, following these principles, there is no need to change from family life to renounced life. But if it's not congenial, not favorable for spiritual advancement, then families should be abandoned. Of course, Maharaj Pariksit got the news, I have 7 days to live. And he sat down on the bank of the Ganges and fixed his mind in Narayan, Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu. And especially then by hearing the Bhagavatam. What's the use? You are in an apartment or an house, you open the door and you know I'm going out of the house and I will never be able to re-enter. Why being attached to the house? So that was a strong impetus for Maharaj Pariksit. But that was not the cause of his detachment from his family and so on. That was not the real cause. But this awareness that everything is temporary, we are just here for a moment. We make a lot of cinema in this world, but it's all for nothing. Sun is all over. That's why we have to hear about the creation. This chapter is about the creation. It creates what was annihilated before. The whole creation is temporary. It's there for some time manifest. It changes. Like our body changes. It's all, and we are together for a short time. So that awareness that everything is temporary is good, but that's not the cause of real detachment. The cause of his detachment, even from his personal body, his wife, his parents, everything, was his attraction to Krishna. Unless we become attracted to Krishna, we cannot give up this lower attraction. But Krishna is so kind. He gives us, that's mentioned in the 10th canto. In one of the early chapters there, it is said 2 things. The first is that Krishna, he protects his devotees by giving them knowledge how to live in this world without becoming attached to this world. And how does he do that? Tesham satatayuksnam bacham pritavokam tadami buddhyogatam yenamam payantite. Tesham evanakam pratamam makhyana chamtaman nasicham atma bhavata shyana dipana bashvata. He gives this knowledge to the heart when as a super soul, when we perform devotional service, then we get realizations, knowledge how to live in this world. That's one way how Krishna protects us against Maya. He gives us, but he gives us only as if we serve him with a little love. That's a condition. You must surrender to Krishna. You must do what he says in Bhagavad Gita, follow his instructions. If we follow his instructions, we are protected by these instructions, because Krishna gives us knowledge from within the heart. And one who thinks always of Krishna. And we always of Krishna think. Because Krishna gives this knowledge to the heart, in the heart, and that protects us. This knowledge how to live in this world without becoming attached. And how is that done? By Krishna gives us knowledge how to always think of him. That's the method. Always think of him. It's also mentioned in the 10th canto that Krishna stays in spiritual touch with his devotees. and he orders Yoga Maya to protect him. So that happens when we come in spiritual touch with Krishna. And the method to come in spiritual touch with Krishna is described here. And it's repeated also in the 10th canto, 10.1.4. One should cleanse one's heart from all envy and so on by taking a medicine. The medicine is hearing about Krishna through the Guru Parampara. It's delivered from spiritual master to disciple in the Guru Parampara. So it's not just hearing, it's hearing to the Guru Parampara that makes it powerful. Therefore, the Maharaj Pariksit had to hear from Sukadev Goswami. But Krishna gives us also a lot of knowledge in Bhagavad Gita. So it brings us also to the point what are spiritual relationships, what are material relationships. And, material relationships are based on a misconception that I'm the enjoyer and I'm the body. And this is mine. Spiritual relationships are based on everything belongs to Krishna. We are a servant of Krishna. And we are meant to give pleasure to Krishna. But a devotee gives pleasure to Krishna through giving pleasure to his devotees and the Brahmins. Giving pleasure to the devotees and the Brahmins is higher than giving pleasure to Krishna. So yeah, this is also the other side. Your family members become devotees. If they are really sincere devotees, they become for us an object of service also. But if they are not sincere, then serving them is not recommended. So this is, this is general, but it's related to this verse because Maharaj Pariksit he had a big family. As the emperor, the ruler of the entire, he was a ruler of the entire earth. He was responsible for everyone. So that is like the biggest householder. So in the purport is said to become liberated means to become free from the Atma Buddhi. So we have the famous verse in Bhagavad Gita, Dinasmin Chatate Kamram Chavanam Yantara Paptir. Dinasmin Chatate Kamram Chavanam Chara Tata Yantara Paptir Diastatra Namuchati. Dinasmin, the Dea, Dehi. Dea means body. De means the one who owns the body, who is in the body. That he must tolerate all these changes of the body. So that's the beginning to get rid of this illusory attachment. But it means in this verse not only the illusory attachment to the body, and Prabhupada said personal bodily covering. So the body is a covering of the spirit soul, but also everything connected with the body. the wife is like the second half. and then Prabhupada says children and other entanglements. Of course, do we see children as entanglements? No. Prabhupada says in the purport in Bhagavad Gita that children are the object of our affection. But entanglement, it's also entanglement, because children represents the biggest part of your karma you get from a big part of your karma you get from previous lives. It's due to your entanglement in the law of karma. What kind of children you get? That we should not forget that. If our children are not doing what we desire, that's just our fault, that's our karma. Don't have these expectations. Instead of having expectations, become the observer and try to facilitate, but neutral observer that see how Krishna arranges for your karma, and don't make new karma. Tolerate it. That whether it is so-called good or bad, that so everything connected with body. We have a lot of things connected with the body. Everything we get is connected with the body. We get a car, it's for transporting the body. Get a house, that's for housing the body. It's all for the body. That extensions of the body. That so Papa said one selects a wife for bodily comforts, and the result is children. I heard recently a lecture of Radhanath Maharaj, and at the end of the lecture, some Grihasthas speak about their problems in Grihastha life. This was a lecture of 96 or something. I don't know if Radhanath Maharaj will say the same today, probably will, but what he said at that time was very striking. He said, you explain me about your problems, but married life means problems. That is just going together with it. And then Radhanath Maharaj said, so why did you marry? You knew it. So that is just going together. Married life is problems. I never seen a marriage without problems. I'm here in the ashram, it's an apartment, and our neighbors below, they had a fight yesterday evening. Very enjoyable. When you hear that, I pray to Krishna, thank you, Krishna. You saved me from all this trouble. So we must be aware of that. Don't have big expectations. Ideal family life happens only in the cinema, not in real life. We have to be realistic about that. For a wife and children requires dwelling place, and as such a residential house is also necessary. So these are all expansions of family life. That animals like horses, elephants, cows, and dogs are all household animals, and the householder has to keep them as household paraphernalia. While I'm giving this lecture, you hear the dogs sometimes barking downstairs. So they are keeping dogs. So in the modern civilization, the horses and elephants have been replaced by cars. It's just the same today as 1,000 years ago. Now, 1,000 years ago, you had horses Now you have cars with horsepower, a lot of horsepower. Prabhupada explains that here. Have been replaced by cars and conveyances with considerable horsepower. It's just the same thing. That to maintain all the householder affairs, one has to increase a bank balance and be careful about the treasure house. And in order to display the opulence of material assets, one has to keep good relations with friends and relatives, as well as become very careful about maintaining the status quo. So to maintain all the household affairs, increase bank balance, one has to work very hard to keep everything going. Sometimes there are problems with the boss. You have to keep the relations good. You have to. It is said in the 12th canto of the Bhagavatam, symptoms of the people in Kali Yuga. It says one who can remain married with one wife for a long time and maintain his family, he will be considered a hero. A hero. That's because it's practically impossible in Kali Yuga. We see today, they did a survey in Belgium, and there is a shortage of houses or apartments. Why is that? Because everyone is in trouble with one another and they separate, and everyone, and now one third of the population lives alone, not in a family anymore. So that has become the new standard, because it's too troublesome, too much fighting. And the fighting is this bodily concept of life, this attachment, and this attachment creates entanglement. And the only way out is Krishna consciousness. You can become a jnani or an Astanga yogi, but they remain attached. Finally, they are attached to liberation of merging with the Supreme, but they remain attached to something always. They want to be free from distress. And they don't, but a devotee, he doesn't care for liberation, for all these things. He cares only, I want to serve Krishna, and Krishna will take care of me. That's it. He has so much faith, Krishna will take care of me. Whatever Krishna wants is his mercy, good or bad. It's a spiritual reality, but we can only increase our faith and come to that if we understand Krishna's nature of being all good. So it's just a fight. When I come in the United States, I see always big houses, nice cars, but you have to work very hard. And if you lose your job, you may lose everything. That because there is no social security, or very little. You may have to sell your house or whatever. So you must work very hard. That even I've seen in America, old people, 80 years, they are still working because there's no social security. And say, well, it's such an entanglement yeah. So that purpose, this is called material civilization of material attachment. Material attachment to the body identification. That when Gandhi went to England, someone asked him, what do you think of the English civilization? He said, it's a good idea. So he was not thinking that it was civilized. He was in England and he had difficulty to remain vegetarian. It was very difficult. That just that one point. that civilization means Vedic civilization, a civilization based on 4 goals: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. It all should lead to moksha, liberation from material entanglement. But in the material world, today that there is the body concept of life, and that body concept of life, it pervades everything. Sometimes the devotee thinks I have to write something. I will use ChatGPT, artificial intelligence, to rewrite it. ChatGPT rewrites it and puts everything what you write back in the body concept of life. Because it uses terms based on the body concept of life. And it's so dangerous that it's poison. That a devotee becomes aware of that, of all these things. So devotion for Lord Krishna means negation of all material attachment, as detailed above. But it's mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, to do that, param dristvani vartate, you need a higher taste. You need a higher taste to give up the lower taste. Therefore, devotion to Krishna automatically means negation of material attachment. That you become Krishna conscious, and you, if you really become Krishna conscious, you don't have any interest to achieve anything in this world. It looks insignificant, just leading to entanglement. That becomes naturally when you become Krishna conscious. Devotees join the movement, and they throw away all the other books out of their library. No interest anymore. Only Prabhupada's books. They only want to eat prasadam, all the other things out, because they have a higher taste. It's natural. By the grace of Lord Krishna, Maharaj Pariksit was awarded all material amenities and an undisputed kingdom in which to enjoy the undisturbed position of king. By the grace of the Lord, he was able to give up all connections with material attachment. So he knew, I've been put in that position of a king, and my empowerment is given by Krishna. Arjuna also, when Krishna left the planet, Arjuna lost his power, his great strength, and he knew, then he realized I was completely empowered by Lord Krishna. But the same for us, whatever capability we have, it's empowered by Krishna. It's not our power. But by the grace of the Lord, he was able to give up all connections with the material world. That's the grace of the Lord. That's Krishna empowers us with yoga maya, this spiritual potency, that then you can withstand maya. That Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, one who surrenders unto me, he can cross over all material attachment. That you can cross over. Mayam etam tarantite. That so that is, we are only able to do that. But then we may say, I'm not fully Krishna conscious, so what with me? But we have Bhagavad Gita. If you see your life to Bhagavad Gita, your life becomes different. That you get disturbed by material desires. You remember Krishna's instructions. Fulfilling material desires brings suffering. How to withstand it? Have a good sadhana. That gives you power. Only that sadhana. That constant engagement in Krishna consciousness. That helps us. So that is the position of a pure devotee. Maharaj Parikshit due to his natural affection for Lord Krishna, was a devotee of the Lord, was always executing his royal duties on behalf of the Lord. So he was never thinking, I'm independent here. I'm Krishna's representative. And I'm executing my function according to his instructions of Varnashram. So he was always thinking like that. So therefore, a king must be the representative of the Supreme Lord. Must be a Mahabhagavat devotee, Srila Prabhupada said. Not the kind of kings today, yeah. So, as a responsible king, he was always careful to see that the influence of Kali would not enter his kingdom. We must also do that. Kali enters our mind. We should not allow him to enter our minds. By always constant absorption in Krishna consciousness. And if it happens, then we have to rectify ourselves. And think how to change our lives. And the change of life that is required is organizing our lives so that we cannot think of Krishna, not doing everything, than thinking of Krishna 24 hours a day. Therefore, it is said a devotee of the Lord never thinks of his household paraphernalia as his own, but surrenders everything for the service of the Lord. Thereby, living entities under a devotee's care get the opportunity for God realization by the management of a devotee master. So that is responsible management. Manage so that everything else can go back to the spiritual world. Give them an opportunity for service to the Supreme Lord. Organize that. Attachment for household paraphernalia or for Lord Krishna go purely together. So two paths, darkness or the path of light. That should always be aware. If I'm attached, that keeps me in this material world. How to give a pure attachment is perform pure devotional service. And if possible, that what you are attached to engages in Krishna's service. Because that's Maharaj Parikshit was a Kshatriya. Kshatriya have the nature of fighting, of administrator. He had this material attachment, but he used them in Krishna's service. By that they became harmless. Where there is light, there is no darkness. So when we think of Krishna, no darkness can come in. When we think of Krishna, we become purified, and no new contamination can come in. An expert devotee can turn everything to the path of light by an attitude of service to the Lord. And the best example is the Pandavas. The Pandavas only wanted to serve the Supreme Lord. They went to so many difficulties. They never complained to Krishna. Why are you doing that to us? We are your pure devotees. No, never. They only wanted to serve Krishna. And by that, they were always protected by Krishna. So many difficulties, but they could overcome them all by the grace of Krishna. So the Yudhishthir and householders like him can turn everything to light by dovetailing so many so-called material assets in the service of the Lord. But one who is not trained, who is unable to turn everything to the service of the Lord, Nirbanda Krishna Sambandhe must give up all material connections before he can be fit to hear and chant the glories of the Lord. So we must be trained to use our attachment in Krishna's service. If we are not trained, then there is no question of becoming purified. That because we will not perform devotional service properly. To perform devotional service properly, we must be situated in Sambandha Jnana, Krishna Sambandhe Jnana. And then when we are trained to use everything in Krishna's service, not only we have a relationship with Krishna, everything has a relationship with Krishna. It's his energies, so we use his energies in his service. Then no reaction, no karma, you become purified. So attachment is not a big problem. It is our inner attitude. If our inner attitude is right, then this attachment will be served in Krishna's service. Proper inner attitude means everything belongs to Krishna, use it in his service. That without asking anything in return. In the beginning, out of duty, that's sadhana bhakti. And if after Vaida sadhana bhakti, we become purified out of duty. And then we come to the point when we are purified, we continue doing devotional service, but out of love. Then love develops. Therefore, first Vaida sadhana bhakti, then out of love. That's our process. In other words, one who, like Maharaj Parikshit, that who has seriously heard Bhagavatam for even one day from a fit personality like Sukadev Goswami may be able to lose the affinity of material things. So that is important. How can we become attracted to Krishna? First step is hearing that everything belongs to Krishna. And to understand that, we have to understand first everything is created by Krishna. Therefore, we hear the creation to hear how everything is connected with Krishna, how it is connected with him. And then we become aware everything is Krishna's energies, everything is maintained by Krishna. It's not my energy. This body is not mine. It's Krishna's body. We have that temporary. Krishna gave us this body not to enjoy, but to give enjoyment to him. And that will give us enjoyment of our soul, ecstasy, love. That is what we want. So there is no utility simply in imitating Maharaj Parikshit and hearing Bhagavatam from professional men. No, you must hear in the Guru Parampara. Then the medicine becomes active. Otherwise, the medicine can even become poison if we hear Bhagavatam with an incorrect Sambandha Jnana. That we think we are also Krishna and we are going to merge with Krishna. That's poison. Impersonalists study also the Bhagavatam with the wrong attitude. That it must be heard with the right inner attitude. To take Srimad Bhagavatam as a means of maintaining family is the greatest of friends. Good, we went to the purport. Any comments, questions, please? Yes, Kati, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, good morning and thank you for the class.
Hare Krishna.
I have a big question. A few weeks ago, my husband had an ambulance level medical emergency. And although my first instinct was to turn to the Maha Mantra, I know that deep inside, it wasn't to pray for, his highest good and his best good, but it was out of fear. It was out of, praying for his body to be better so that he would not be separated from me. And that really hit me. It's like, I am so attached. I am so attached. Oh my goodness, what do I do?
Yeah, it is the first step to come over this attachment is understanding the process of devotional service. That's the first thing. It's a process to become attached to Krishna, and to that, and as a side effect, you become detached from the material energy. But it requires an education, a systematic education. So the first step is hearing transcendental knowledge, but systematic. And that is what we do in the Bhagavatam. That to become attached to Krishna, first we must understand that this universe, therefore Krishna explains the universal form. Universe is like a body of Krishna, we can say. We can accept it like that. Atheists can accept the universe as God. That's the first step. That then one start to realize I'm insignificant. I'm under control of this material energy. That, I saw some astronomers speaking about going to another planet. Our closest planet beyond this solar system is Alpha Centauri. Alpha Centauri is the closest planet, only 1.2 light years away, only. But with the power that they now have to go to that planet, to travel to space, if the biggest power we have for the moment is the nuclear energy, if we have the biggest atom bomb and we let them explode it and the rocket goes, that we get 0.8% of the light speed. It would take 42 years to get there. 42 years. That to get to that point. And that means that when you arrive there, you don't know if the planet will be inhabitable or not. It may be for nothing. You have to spend most of your life traveling to space. Then you have the influence of the cosmos and the radiation and so on. With the methods you have now and the knowledge, you will not survive it. The body will not survive. That's just the closest planet in another solar system. So it is just, we are just so insignificant. And that's what the Bhagavatam explains. It has knowledge of all these planetary systems and so on. And then the next step in hearing the Bhagavatam is understanding Krishna is in your heart. he controls not only the cosmos, but also your body and so on. Everything is an energy of the Lord. It explains how the creation comes from Krishna step by step. So that means everything is Krishna's energy. But then we have to understand that we are spiritual energy. How to get out of this entanglement of this and this attachment and so on. That Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita is a process of surrender. When you understand that everything is under control of Krishna and it's his energy, that means you are under control of Krishna, whether you are conditioned or liberated. You are always under the control of Krishna. But when we are in the liberated state, we are in a happy, normal state. But to get there, we must first accept Krishna as the controller of everything. That's the first thing. And then the next step is how to connect with Krishna, understanding our position as a servant. And servant means service. And spiritual service, how to perform spiritual service. We are the soul. From the soul must come the correct desire to serve. And this desire means that that's described in the Bhagavatam also. Pure devotional service is meant to please Krishna without asking something in return. No material desires, just to please Krishna. Even we are contaminated, we can do that. Try to serve Krishna without asking something in return. So how to do that? Krishna explains. Yeah, he explains first in the 5th canto, the hellish planets, the heavenly planets, so many planetary systems, and it is all trouble from the lower to the highest planetary systems. And then how to liberate oneself. In the 6th canto, we have Ajamil. Ajamil performed devotional service. He was struggling. He was entangled, but he became liberated. How to do that? We have to learn that. How to go from the liberated state, from the conditioned state to the liberated state. How to come from a situation of attachment to the material things to attachment to Krishna. The process in the 6th canto. In the 7th canto, we have the example of a liberated devotee, Prahlad Maharaj, and how he sees the world. By hearing that, we start to see the world through the consciousness of Prahlad Maharaj. We enter his consciousness. But then to come to that, we must surrender. The 8th canto, Bali Maharaj surrenders everything to Lord Vamadev. How to develop this consciousness of surrender? That's explained in the 8th canto. 9th canto is about liberated persons. And then the 10th canto is about spiritual enjoyment in the spiritual world. So we must go canto by canto every day, the Bhagavatam class. And at the same time chanting. These two things must be there. It's like a tandem. And then gradually the chanting will improve. You get the right inner attitude by understanding the process of devotional service. It requires spiritual education under guidance of those who have realized it. Anyway, I hope this helps to understand that it's not such a sudden thing. That I think Mother Vanuya has another question, because at 15 minutes I've the VRG Bhaktivedanta class start.
Okay. If possible, I have 2 questions, if possible. For me, is this, thank you for at first, please accept my humble obeisances, Maharaj. Thank you very, very, very much for this super excellent class again and your super clear words. for me is this topic of love. It is said, also, or my Gomaj also says in his lectures, as long we are lack in love, we have these material desires and these material attachments. And he brings example, also at first we are attached to the service, which we do for Krishna, and later if we have really love for Krishna, then it doesn't matter. Then we are attached to Krishna and have love to Krishna, and then we can do different services, not only the service we like. Also for me, it's really how to come to this point that really do it out of love. That we. Also how can I come closer to really love of God, and yeah, can because for me, as with these, as you said, with this attachment to other persons, or that we love at first other persons, this is difficult for me. So some say we must love at first the devotees or other persons before we can love Krishna, and others say no, we have to learn to love Krishna at first. Also this is also not clear for me.
Yeah. Yeah, we have to develop love for Krishna, but first we have to learn from the devotees who have developed that love. So we have to serve the devotee, also love these devotees, because spiritual master is representative of Krishna. Therefore we give our love also. And then gradually we become Krishna conscious, and then we will see all the others are also living entities, servants of Krishna. And then the next step is we start to love the devotees also. And finally, when you become an Uttamadakar, then you love everyone. But it's a gradual process. It starts with service to the spiritual master. That is important. The other point you made was?
Yeah, for me was also so these that our material desires and attachments there because we have a lack of love. Ne? Also we, if I would love Krishna, also everything would be different. I think, ne? And I would like to come closer to this point that I really love Krishna. Also without, ne? Without also not mixed motives, ne? Also with in a pure attitude.
Yeah, that's a gradual process. We cannot jump to it. But like we cook for the deities, we are cooking for Radha, Madan Mohan. But usually in the deity kitchen, at least in Radhadesh, when I was cooking for Radha Gopinath, then the menu was fixed. Krishna says in the Bhagavatam, in the Govardhan Lila, what he likes to eat. Also Lord Chaitanya, he tells what he likes to eat. So we are cooking what Krishna wants to eat. That's first class. But sometimes we want to eat pizza, so then we cook pizza and give pizza to Krishna. But of course, if it's to please the devotees, that's okay. But if it's to please yourself, that's not good. That's not good. So by that we learn gradually selfless service. It's a process of purification. This gradual, we cannot jump to it. Yeah.
Yeah, that fits my second question. How to engage this attachment to eating in Krishna's service, and what is the right attitude? Because you said it's important to have the right attitude.
The right attitude is to keep this body fit. It's a machine we get for Krishna, and we must nicely get it running. That is oiling, like a car oiling, and getting at everything nice maintained. That's the right attitude. So you have to be conscious. That's different for everyone. Anyway, it can become sometimes complicated. Thank you very much. We have to stop.
Thank you very much, Maharaj.
I have another engagement now. Thank you. Jai Prabhupada. Haribol.
Yeah, His
See you
Holiness
tomorrow.
Bhakti Prabha Maharaj ki jai.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Haribol.